Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy A56 and compare it against the Samsung Galaxy A55 and see how both these phones compare. Now, there's a lot of things to keep in mind here. I do think the Galaxy A56 is an interesting update coming from the A55. I think there's some really good things to keep in mind here with that type of update and that type of upgrade. So we'll go and take a look between both of them. First things first though, if you do want to go ahead and pick up any new Samsung phone that I'd recommend buying, maybe even more so than the Galaxy A56, links will be down in the description below. You can get that from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these phones. The Samsung Galaxy A55 originally came out back in 2000, basically just like last year pretty much, and this phone on the front was giving you a 6.6-inch Super AMOLED display. Now within this panel, it's really not too bad. It's giving you a 1000 nits of brightness panel, 120 Hz, and it looks pretty good for the most part. The thing with these panels is that they're not supposed to be the most expensive type of phone you can buy. Samsung Galaxy A phones are pretty much their mid-tier to ultra cheap budget phones depending on which one you're going to buy. So this is a really cool thing that they ended up making here because this phone itself is actually a pretty good phone when it comes down to that side. So it does have a little bit thicker bezel on this phone than you probably would have thought, but it's really not that big of a deal, and I still think it is a really nice phone when it comes down to at least the exterior and the way this phone looks like on the front side. With something like the Galaxy A56 though, this is a little bit of a better styled of a device. So for starters, it's giving you a slightly bigger 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display. So it's a slightly bigger panel. It's giving you less bezel overall on it, and it's giving you a 1200 nits of brightness with 1900's peak brightness, which is pretty crazy. That's a really bright panel for the most part, and it's 120 Hz as well. So one cool thing that they actually did here was remove a lot of bezel from it. The Galaxy 55 had a screen to body ratio of 85.8%, where the Galaxy 56's is 87.7%. So you are getting more screen to bezel on the Galaxy 56 than on the Galaxy A55. So that right there, again, in and of itself, is another really cool thing going on for this type of phone when it comes down to it from that side. Now, on top of that, they're both giving you USB Type-C ports on the bottom, which is always nice to have. I love having USB Type-C, and you are basically going to be getting that here inside of this device. You're also going to be getting kind of flat sides on both, so both phones are going to feel fairly modern from that side. On the back side, they're both giving you these glass backs. Now, the interesting thing here is that for one, they both lack wireless charging, which has always been kind of weird to me. I never really understood that, but I guess you're not going to be getting that here on this phone or these phones. But one thing I do like about the Galaxy A56 that Samsung ended up doing here was they did actually end up going through and giving us a little bit of a cooler design with that camera layout. I feel like with the way the Galaxy 56 camera, is looking like, because it's the same functionality of the camera as the Galaxy 55, but I do like how that camera is more kind of like, has like a more newer design, right? With its like blacked out backside. And I think that is a really cool thing going on for that type of phone. And I do think if you are going to go through and get a device, that one actually looks pretty good from that side, which is genuinely something that's actually really nice when it comes down to it. So when I'm looking at a phone, I do think that type of device does look pretty cool when it comes down to it from that side. So that right there, and when you look at these phones, I definitely do think they hold up fairly well when it comes down to it from that particular side. The price tags are also slightly different a little bit. The Galaxy 55, because it's older, is going to be cheaper. That one on Amazon is about $332. The Galaxy 56 is about $415. So that right there, you're already going to be seeing some differences as well. Like the Galaxy 56 is going to be the phone that is going to be slightly more expensive in this day and age compared to something like a Galaxy A55. So from that side too, kind of keep that in mind for the most part as well. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to their, cameras, like I said before, they're both giving you their triple camera setups on the backside. They're both giving you 50 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel ultra wide, then 5 megapixel macro lenses. So both these phones, for the most part, I think hold up fairly well when it comes down to it. Like they both are giving you a pretty decent experience when it comes down to that type of capability. So I do think the cameras, they're, okay. They're giving you 4K at 30 lens on the back with 4K at 30 on the front. I do kind of feel like you could end up kind of getting a little bit of a better experience here when it comes down to the camera layout, because even for like $300, you can buy like a Samsung Galaxy S23 that's giving you like 8K capability on the backside. So the fact that this phone is giving you that type of, layout, I really don't think is like that crazy. And I do think if you are going to go through and pick up a phone, that is kind of one of those things to keep in mind here. Like I do feel like they could be giving you a slightly better experience here and there when it does actually come down to the cameras. But these cameras are relatively the same. There's not really that big of a difference. So you're not really going to be getting like an insane amount of difference here when it comes down to these two phones. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there too. When it comes down to software longevity, so the thing you're going to have to remember is that with something like the Samsung Galaxy A56, because this phone is newer than the Galaxy A55, we're just going to have to go under the assumption that the Galaxy A56 is going to be it's going to be a longer lasting phone than the Galaxy A55. So if you are wanting the phone that is going to be lasting you for a longer period of time, the Galaxy A56 is the one that's going to be giving you that higher likelihood. So if you are wanting the phone that is going to be giving you a longer device lifespan, then definitely something like the Galaxy A56 is going to be that one for you. I think the Galaxy A55, it's still good, right? It's still supported with software. But again, when it comes down to software longevity, the Galaxy A56 is probably the one that you're wanting to go to get, because that one's going to be the longer lasting one here for the most part. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to some other areas of these phones, like when it comes down to their battery life, they're both giving you basically the same sized battery. So not much is basically changing from that side either. They're both relatively around the same. So there's not really that much you have to worry about from that side either, because they're both going to be relatively around the same type of experience. And then when it comes down to the performance, the Galaxy A55 is giving you the Exynos 1480 chipset inside with 6 to 12 gigabytes of RAM, where the Galaxy A56 is giving you that Exynos 1580 chipset inside with 6 to 12 gigs of RAM. So you can configure the RAMs to be about the same on both, but the Samsung Galaxy A56 is giving you a better chipset slightly. But the thing you're going to have to remember is that both these phones, they're really not going to be that great at performing devices anymore, right? They're going to be pretty okay. They're going to be pretty average. And that's just kind of what ends up happening when you're going to go through and pick up some of these types of devices, because they are going to be a slightly older type of experience. But I will tell you, the Galaxy A56 is theoretically going to be the one that's going to be a faster and a better performing device. But both these phones don't really compare against something even like a Samsung Galaxy S23. Like that phone is definitely going to be far superior than these ones. But I think when it comes down to these two, they're both relatively good, but they're really not that great. And that's kind of what ends up happening, like I said, if you're going to go through and pick up these types of phones. So in my personal opinion, if you are going to go through and pick up a phone, I definitely do think a phone like a Samsung Galaxy A56, when it comes down to both of these, like that one is clearly the better one here. So that one is the one that makes more sense to go and buy. But I look at something like a Samsung Galaxy, S23, I keep saying it, like that is a way better phone than both of these phones combined. The Galaxy S23 makes so much more sense to buy. That phone is, going to be giving you a better display, better cameras, better performance, better everything across the board. That's the one that makes more sense for me to recommend, and it's about the same cost as something like a Samsung Galaxy A55. So you might as well go and buy those phones rather than this one. But I still feel like these two phones are good, but they're not really that great. And that's why I think you can do a better job with the price rather than getting these types of phones. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.